Paul closes his discussion on the armor of God in Ephesians by reminding us of our obligation to pray. Listen to these words. With all prayer and petition, pray at all times in the Spirit. And with this in view, be on the alert with all perseverance and petition for all the saints, and pray on my behalf, that utterance may be given to me in the opening of my mouth, to make known with boldness the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in chains, that in proclaiming I may speak boldly as I ought to speak. Interestingly, as we talk about the armor of God, there's really not been much of anything that's talked about offense at this point until we get to the idea of prayer. And the idea of prayer, Paul reminds us to pray for him, the leader, but I would encourage you to pray for all, that all of us would have boldness to preach the gospel. You see, prior to this point, it's all about defending the attacks of the invisible enemy, Satan, and the dark forces of this world. At this point, Paul shifts the focus to remind us that who we often think is the enemy, and that's the unsaved world, the unsaved people in our world. We often confuse them with the enemy. And so Paul reminds us to pray. And he reminds us to pray that we'd have boldness to present the gospel to them, because ultimately our goal for the unsaved is to convince them to join God's side, to convince them of the gospel of Jesus Christ, which presents salvation for them and forgiveness of their sins. So Christian, if you want to be truly prepared for the battle, please don't ever forget to pray. Pray.